Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Get in the Herd, a recovery podcast from the McShin Foundation. I'm your host, Alex Bond. I am a peer leader and recovery coach here at McShin. I'm also a house leader and, more importantly, a person in recovery from a substance use disorder, which means I've not found the need to put any mood or mind altering substances in my body for just going on about 10 and a half months now. I'm here with my good buddy, Tommy Glidden. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right.
Happy to have you on, man. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
My name is Tommy Glidden. I'm from Waterville. I'm also a person in recovery who suffers from substance use disorder. A little bit about myself. Yeah, I've been using for about 10 years. A lot had happened in my life that kind of led me to make bad choices in my life. And I'm here to correct them, or do my best to correct them as best as I can.
That's awesome, buddy. I appreciate your humbleness.
Thank you.
So you've been here, I think Saturday will be 3 weeks. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So coming into the program, what did you expect and how did the program alter those expectations a little bit?
Oh, man. Coming in, I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I was nervous a lot, just being sick. That had a lot to do with it. But also coming into, like, I was expecting an institution, I guess you would say, kind of like a jail setting.
White walls.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
White walls, concrete walls, steel doors, stuff like that. I had a couple friends that had come through here that kind of explained to me that's not how it was. But I still kind of came in here expecting that kind of jail mentality. You know what I mean? And so when I got here, everyone was real nice. The house leader went above and beyond to help me. He knew that I was sick and that I really wasn't trying to do much. He came in, he made my bed for me, he put all my food away for me, and they made everybody in that house made me feel at home. And it was amazing, man. Like, it was almost like a sense of security. Like, I felt like, okay, things aren't going to be as bad as I thought, like that's half the battle right there, dude, is just the thinking part of it. 'Cause you're always overthinking.
Oh yeah.
Always. And when I got here, everyone was super nice. The programs are cool. Like, we program a lot during the day, and they just help a lot talking about everything that's going on with people that understand the disease. It just helps make you feel better. Like I said, I didn't feel good when I had first got here. And even though I didn't feel good, talking about it just kept my mind off it and made me feel better.
Off of the actual feeling, the detox feeling, the aches and pains and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I hope he doesn't still make your bed at least.
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I'm responsible for that now.
All right, good. So one of the things that I think was really fortunate, I don't know if you were put in the class or if you put yourself in it, but you did the recovery coach training that I led. And you were very participatory in it, even for still being here for, I think it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't even think 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think you were here for maybe like a week at that, but then already getting put in a situation to try to help other people. I loved seeing it. You were very enthusiastic. What were some of the takeaways from that, and maybe why you were in it to begin with, or anything like that? If you could elaborate.
So I was approached by my recovery coach at the time, who had asked if I wanted to participate in the class. And again, I'm here to do the best that I can to take away as much knowledge from this program as possible. And I felt like that was going to be a good idea. I felt like I could learn a lot from it. I've always wanted to help people who suffer from substance use disorder, always, and I just felt like I could get a lot out of that class. So I signed up for it, and I did my best to participate in it as much as I could, as often as I could. And I did. I learned a lot, like destigmatizing the addict, I guess you would say, how to, I guess, introduce yourself without people being like, oh, well, he's an addict, he's a bad person, I guess you would say, you know what I mean? And that right there is a lot to just learn in general, because a lot of people where I'm from, they know me as, this is the guy, you know what I mean? So it's like,
what do you mean by that?
By like I've always sold drugs. I've always used drugs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a lot of people look at me like that person, like he'll never change, da, 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 da. So it's like, it's cool. And I practice it a lot around here. Just the way that I speak about things, like it's not like I glorify them. I just, I'm, like I said, I'm real humble about everything that's happened in my life, and I just try to kind of share my experience with everything that's gone on, so that way when I get home, people can actually see that this program does something for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And yeah, so that class was amazing. It was a few days, and I had a lot of fun doing it. You did a great job teaching it.
Appreciate it.
You always do a good job anyway. But yeah, I did. I took a lot away from that class. We still have the booklets that you gave to us, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
I still read through that, just trying to pick up on things that I can do to help other people that are in my situation,
Mm-hmm.
or was in my situation.
No, that's perfect. And right when you came in, you had this major open-mindedness to the whole scenario. Your support system has been very great to watch grow, because you came in with, these friends, family, past participants who are really rooting for you. Does that give you an added advantage, having these people who are like, you should try this out, because you don't want to let them down, or you want to make them proud, or does it almost have this added pressure on top of where you're at?
I'd say it's a mix of both. We're all afraid to fail,
Mm-hmm.
even though failure may be a part of life, but having people on your side that support you in your recovery and are going to be there for you anytime you need to pick up the phone to call them, to be like, hey, listen, dude, I'm really having a hard time. I'm struggling. It's always great, but then there's always the other side of the coin, where it's like, I don't want those people to be like, oh man, he's really struggling. No matter what I say, he's going to use,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So it's like, I guess it's a double-headed coin, but for the most part, I thrive to make them people proud.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a lot of friends and family that really want me to do well, and I want to do well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm tired of living that life. I don't want to live that life anymore, and I haven't wanted to for a long time. But I just sometimes, up here, we get in here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just this nasty spiral that just continues to just roll downhill. And I don't want to do that anymore, so I just want to make them people proud, and I'm doing an amazing job. I hear it all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, my family, a couple of the people that had come through this program in general, they're all real proud of me. They say I'm doing really well. They say, you look healthy. I look on camera, I actually do look pretty decent.
I like the haircut. You dress nice. I mean, I
know.
remember when you came in, and there's, it's not a 180 turnaround. It's a slow progression, but there's little things here and there that you can see as milestones and stuff like that. Like, you're smiling a lot more often.
Absolutely,
your
man.
eyes are shot up, and it's just beautiful to see, man. And that's why I like doing stuff like this, is so you can give back, and we can kind of check in on where you're at, because I was scared as shit when I came in here. Like, I had no idea what to expect. I dealt with the exact same stuff, and so to the next person, I like being able to reach out and say, it'll be all right, man. It'll be all right. So consequences of our actions. I personally had to go to jail about a month ago to deal with legal issues, my DUI that put me in here. Do you have any consequences that you have to still look forward to, or not look forward to, and how do we deal with those?
Yeah, there are definitely still some consequences that I have to deal with when I get home, unfortunately. A big one for me is my relationship with my family.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Things haven't been the greatest for a long time because I've my using, and it's just all starting to kind of come unraveled. As to dealing with those consequences, I'm just gonna have to live life on life's terms, man. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I chose the path that I chose. Regardless of me trying to correct it now, we can't change our past actions. All we can do is change the way the situation turns out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In the future. And I will try my hardest to do that. But I'm not going to get discouraged if things don't end up going the way that I want, because unfortunately, that's just how life goes.
That's how
sometimes
life works, man. I don't always get what I want, and it pisses me off.
Absolutely, you know, but that's not any reason at all to head back down that path of self-sabotage and destruction. That's not a reason at all. As for like incarceration and stuff like that, I've definitely had consequences for that when it comes to that, for my using and stuff like that. And I may have to deal with some of those problems when I get back to Maine. Not really 100% sure yet, I guess you would say.
Sure.
But there are definitely going to be consequences to my actions. You know, this was, I guess, I can't even call it a consequence because, man, I came here and I've done better. You know what I mean? So it's not like I got locked in a jail cell or anything like that. But yeah, there's definitely more consequences to come when I get back home. And again, I'll just keep a positive outlook on that thing and accept whatever it is that I have to do. Because again, my actions are what led me to that.
Actions and active addiction at that.
And active addiction, absolutely.
So one of the things that I like about you is how open you are. And I wanted to ask about, so you sold drugs.
Yes.
And there is a certain lifestyle that becomes accompanied with that. How do you separate that lifestyle and the fast money and and just the glorification, the materialism? Do you still miss that? And how do you try to separate that while also living in recovery? Or can you separate those things? Or
yeah, you can definitely separate them. Yes, I do miss it, of course, because I lived that life for so long. So it's almost like a part of me is missing, but it's not necessarily a good part of me that's missing. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely a bad part of me that is missing. And as for like filling it with something else, I try to use my family. Like I love my daughter right to death. I love my stepdaughter right to death. And I love my baby mother right to death. So I try to spend as much time around them as possible, because the more time that I spend around people that A, don't suffer from substance use disorder, or B, have just never picked up a drug in their life, the less I think about it. You know what I mean?
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Do they still do they understand as well as other people in recovery? Can you empathize the exact same with them? Because I think that's very valid. So I'm kind of just wondering, how much do they get?
I wouldn't say they get it 100%, because again, I guess you could say if you've never lived it, then you'll never really get it. Like there's a certain degree that you could understand to, you know what I mean? Like, okay, they know that if I'm in active addiction, that I do bad things that tend to hurt people, you know, but they don't quite understand why. You know, they don't quite get like what goes on up here to make me do these bad things. They just know that I do bad things when I'm using, you know, so I can't say that they do quite get it. And I do empathize with it because, again, like, you can't really understand it if you, like I just said, if you've never lived it. So it's like, I understand why they just sometimes think, you know, I'm a terrible person, because when I'm using, I am a terrible person. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, I mean, I get where they're coming from, and I'll do my best to try to explain to them. Like I said, I mean, I've learned quite a bit since I've been here. Just in the 3 weeks, I've learned a lot about myself.
Just in 3 weeks. Imagine what 3 years looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So it's like maybe I can kind of help break it down to them and explain to them like what happens when you're in active addiction and why we do the things we do. Because I know when I'm using, dude, all I'm doing is yelling and screaming at them, dude, trying to get them to understand it. It's getting nowhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's very, very insightful. One of the things that you were talking about and just now is that stigma of I do terrible things, so I'm a terrible person. And that's kind of like the main topic of today is you were explaining the certain words that we use help break that sort of stigma. What was the stigma surrounding you personally, that you were a terrible guy, or how do we get away from that a little more? Because, you know, just the way that we talk isn't going to be nearly enough. So what else can we kind of do?
Well, again, actions. You know what I mean? Like I said, I sold drugs for a long time.
Yeah.
So people looked at me as a drug dealer because that's what I was. So coming back home, you know, when everything is not said and done, but when I start to show progression, we'll just say working a regular 9 to 5 job. Okay. People don't see me in the streets anymore. You know, they might still kind of think of me as what I used to be, but it's like showing them what I am now, you know, just changing everything about myself, from the people that I hang out with, the places that I would go, to the things that I would do, to the way that I would talk, you know, just the way I guess I would just promote myself. You know, after, we'll say, a few months, you know, of working a legit job, and not being in the streets. I'm in the streets a lot when I'm using, you know, so things like that will kind of bring it to light, like, wow, you know, maybe he really is changing, you know. Maybe it was just, maybe he's not a bad person, you know, maybe drugs really did do that to him, you know, and stuff like that.
So people see it more than they just hear it. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
exactly. Actions turn into life, man.
Yeah, and I've even seen it in the 3 weeks of, you know, less cursing a little bit. Even though we try to keep it authentic yet PG on this, even behind the scenes, you're still cursing a little less often. Yeah. What you're choosing to talk about is definitely more hopeful than when you came in, and I don't see you rocking as many tank tops anymore.
No, you don't. No.
Why is that? Is that a perception thing? Is that I feel like I should present myself in a certain way, or is it just like old habits get left behind? Because you're also misfortunate yet fortunate enough to, as a drug dealer, have to deal with the consequences of that by being incarcerated for a long amounts of time. So breaking that institutional mindset is not easy. I want to tell everyone that it's not easy, but you've been able to break a lot of these habits a lot quicker than I've seen other people do that. Has that been conscientious, or has it been working this program?
Well, it's working the program has definitely, again, helped me kind of view life in a different way. I'm gonna hand this one off to my housemates a lot, man. Like, they kind of call me on stuff, you know what I mean? Like, we'll just from the way I dress sometimes, you know what I mean? They're like, hey man, you know, like, you kind of looking like the drug dealer right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'll be looking at myself like, wow, you know, he's kind of right, you know? So it's like changing little things like that, because at the end of the day, like, I don't want people to be like, what is this kid here at a rehab, and what is he trying to sell drugs? You know, I don't want that. You know what I mean? And like, and it's just, it makes me feel good about myself to make these small changes. Like, a lot of people in this place, this program, have even come up to me and been like, wow, man, you know, like, I see the difference. Just Terry the other day came up sitting on the porch. I was smoking a cigarette. And he's like, it's like 6:30 in the morning. He's like, man, sober looks good on you, buddy. Yeah. And I started laughing. I was like, what do you mean? And he's just like, man, you just glow differently. He's like, I remember when I first saw you, you just looked terrible and miserable. He's like, you know, you got on your shorts and a tank top, dude. He's like, and you just looked like somebody who would sell drugs and didn't want to be here, you know? And so, like, little things like that were like, just by changing my appearance, man. You know, I mean, I might have a Tupac and Nipsey shirt on right now.
That's awesome.
But just because
that's you, is we don't want to change every single part about us.
Exactly.
We want to find and remember who exactly we are, while getting rid of all of those character defects at the same time, which you've done a successful job at, and seem to be very conscientious of it. And, you know, it's a natural process, but it is also one that requires work.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah,
hard work too. You know,
hard work,
and it'll be like that for a long, long time, man, forever.
So, our main topic of the evening is this post. Todd, can you bring this post up?
No, actually, I can't bring it up. But,
okay,
I could have if I would have had more time to prepare for that end of it.
That's fine. Do you want to explain exactly what it is?
I don't know that I necessarily want to mention the university by name. But so last night, you know, Kelly and I are sitting there talking, and, you know, she's like, you know, she came across, you know, in one of the local yard sales, page. Kelly had found a post, and she was like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No." So she sent it to me so I could see it. But basically, the point of it is like, do you drink often? We are seeking volunteers who often drink alcohol to participate in a research study at this local university. And then it gives like the contact information and the number. And so, I was like, my mind, I'm, with being from the alcohol side, I'm thinking, well, I can get paid to drink.
That's exactly what I thought when you sent me that. So, at first I was like, wait, what am I looking at? And then I was like, when I reread it, it was like, this study could feed my addiction.
Right. But I mean, but that's the way, even still, that our minds tend to go, and so it made me think. I was wondering, I was like, well, I wonder, is this helping or hurting the problem as far as the way that it was presented in this format, the way that it was marketed to the people? I understand obviously that there's a good need for what they're trying to do. But it just struck me as, I don't know, the way that it came across, it could be taken either way. And so that's whenever I messaged you.
Exactly. And I, to jump in, think that looking at something like that, as someone who does not have a substance use disorder, it would say, okay, these people are doing surveys on how much people drink. It's that simple. And they are paying volunteers who are wondering how much they drink. That's what Earth people think. That's what John would call Earth people. As someone who is an addict, that, as Todd was saying, says, hey, if you drink, we'll give you money so you can come in and get money so you can drink more. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. That's how my brain works in that. And I think it could be perceived as possibly exploitative. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But for my perception, the lack of information and knowledge and care that goes into such a loaded question like that can be perceived in a lot of different ways. Is that something that you would consider doing when you were in active addiction? Is going to the survey?
Absolutely, I would have. I kind of read the question the same way, or at least that's how my brain registered it. Maybe, because I'm not an Earth person, as John would say. But absolutely. What I read was, for layman's term, if you like to drink and you drink a lot, come in and we'll pay you. And that is absolutely something I probably would have done during active addiction. As crazy as that sounds, I guess, we're going to let people just study us, I guess, while we get wasted.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to say that it could be for very helpful reasons. I imagine it, I hopefully is. Yeah. So they can study trends and, what might be the threshold for addiction or something like that. Like, hey, you drink 6 beers every 6 hours of every day, but you still go to work and all this stuff. Well, that's not my story, but it could be for beneficial reasons. But I think it also might be able to pigeonhole people as, you're an addict, you're not, you're an addict, you're not. And I know from my experience that this is a disease that is only self-diagnosable. Do you agree with that? Do you think that other people can look at people like us and say, you're an addict, or you're someone who is a junkie or whatever? Or do you think that it's something that only we can identify?
I mean, I guess it all depends on the display of behaviors. Okay. You know what I mean? If you're with somebody every single day for, we'll say, 6 months. Okay. And you're clearly using every single day, you're sick if you don't have it, and you're trying to tell yourself, oh, well, I'm not an addict. But this person can clearly see, you're an addict, man. You're sick, So it's like a yes and no question, because like you said, it's kind of a self-diagnosable thing. You have to you gotta learn, man, I'm an addict and I can't do certain things, especially in moderation. It's either 0 to 100 or, it's nothing at all. So again, I mean, yes and no, probably more to the no side though, because anybody can read a book about addiction and then think that they know everything about addiction. But again, if you've never lived it, you'll never get it. So
Yeah, because that is another stigma thing is people can make rules and decisions about those with substance use disorder without having that lived in experience or even asking or talking to people about it, which is why this could be beneficial, is saying, okay, so do you identify as someone who's in recovery? Yes. Okay. What does that mean to you? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a very weird ad to see on Facebook with very little information about it whatsoever.
Well,
and that's not like a Facebook dig or anything.
Right.
I just think it's a bit bizarre.
And even for their standpoint of what they're trying to do, I understand the want to study and do all that, but from a marketing standpoint, that may have come across just a little like, well, you got a problem? We can help you out. We can give you some cash for you doing what you do. And my immediate thought after I read it was like, what if that had said, something about, IV drug use?
Heroin.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, so I mean, I had an incident like probably 3 months ago where I saw, it was like an online, it was another Facebook group, but it was basically, these women were selling shirts, and it was like the wine mom. It was the wine mom shirt, And so what bothers me is that's acceptable. Like, I don't want to just single out the wine mom population, but I'm just saying that whole umbrella of, the alcohol end of it is acceptable because it's legal. But yet, what if you replace what you saw on that shirt with, a drug needle, or a rock or whatever, it would be unacceptable.
Absolutely.
Adderall mom.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's legal too. So it's like, what if you replace that whole culture with, oh yeah, I take Xanax all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like
right.
I get what you're getting at, and the legality of it is.
So I had made a comment similar to that. I wasn't trying to stir the pot too much. I have a little bit of a side of me that likes to stir things up a little, but and they were like, oh my God, like get them off of there. They banned me like instantly. Like they freaked out like on the thing. But I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like that reaction, well, maybe it was a little wrong on my end to make that comment.
There you go. Own up, Tom.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I guess what response did I expect?
Yeah,
right.
So, but still, I was my heart in it was to help to make people think like, okay, listen, maybe we should be a little more sensitive to how we present some things going on, because if you really replace it with one avenue to the other, then you got, then it really just shows. If it doesn't, I think if the round hole does not fit in the square peg across the board, I'm, making it, well, it's a bad joke, but still. It just made me think. And then when I saw that last night after she showed me that, it made me think of that whole thing.
Well, and I think there's a certain amount of mindfulness that has to go into being someone with substance use disorder. Is, for example, I have worked in the service industry in restaurants since I was 18. I have collected a large mass of T-shirts, even not including the free ones that I got, but a lot of T-shirts and things that had booze on them, a Coors Light T-shirt, a Guinness hat, a Tullamore Dew. Like I can literally just go off the list of all these different like articles of clothing I have that I enjoy wearing because they're comfortable and they look cool, but they're promoting booze a lot of times. So do I wear those to NA and AA meetings? Probably not.
Absolutely not.
Do I wear them at my recovery house that I lead? Every now and then if it doesn't make someone else uncomfortable. But I think just going out into public, it's my way of saying I'm just a normal person. At the same time, it's kind of like this mask that I wear that's like invisibility cloak to say, oh, that guy's just a normal person. But at the same time, I'm very comfortable talking about recovery, even though I'm wearing a T-shirt that has an Irish whiskey brand on it. Well, so I think being mindful of your audience and your crowd and stuff like that is wicked important.
And I think Gwen brings up a good point here. She says, would you have had the same reaction to cigarettes, sugar? She's just being, curious.
No, absolutely.
But,
they completely banned
right.
ads for cigarettes. Right. They just don't have them on TV anymore. Right.
So, I mean, I guess her point was, had it been like the shirt or had it been the ad in the group, so do we have the same reaction? Okay, cigarettes is a good one. That's a good example right there.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar, I don't know, people are gonna fight you about that. But cigarettes is a good example. We banned the ads. We thought they were targeting kids. Same thing we're doing with vaping. So, but if you put a cigarette on a shirt that says "smoke me" or something like that,
exactly,
we may have an issue,
right.
But if it's so she brings up a good question there.
No, and I think it's hilariously clever if you had, in my sense of humor and the way I work, if Tommy was wearing a t-shirt that had a needle and just said like "I'm dope" on it, I think that'd be hilarious. But not everyone would think that's hilarious.
Right, probably not.
Because I am someone who's in the rooms who understands the gallows humor and the dark sense of humor and stuff like that. But someone else would be like, "Oh my God, you can't have a needle on a t-shirt like that."
There was something similar in Canada. Walmart Canada had a shirt, and it was something very similar to what you just said. I can't remember off the top. I just saw it like a month ago, and people were freaking out, because of it, because Walmart of all people, they're, in Canada was selling it. And things are a little more liberal in Canada, I know, but I don't think it's that liberal. But yeah, it was the same deal. That was a big ordeal there for a while.
Well, and then it leads into a question that will be impossible to answer. Is it a matter of political correctness and insensitivity, or is it a matter of perception and ingrained culture of what we can get away with and what we can't, and maybe like a double standard that's involved with drug use?
I'd probably go along the lines with the political correctness.
You think so?
Yeah, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, no offense or anything, but the world is soft nowadays, or our nation is anyway. There are a bunch of soft people, and maybe it comes down to mindfulness.
Okay.
But some people are just offended easier than others, and that's that. And a lot of people, like you just said, like you are in recovery and you get the dark sense of humor, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Whereas to a mother who is walking in Walmart with her 10-year-old child probably doesn't see the humor in it.
No.
You know what I mean? So I guess I would have to say political correctness and insensitivity. Yeah.
And that's you're more than welcome to that. And before we keep moving, Johnny Fab asks, will TikTok be banned? I have no idea. Johnny, I know that TikTok means a lot to you. He's a guest that we had on who is awesome at TikTok. But if I don't know, it keeps I don't know. I don't even want to get into the TikTok thing. I don't have any hot takes. I just wanted to say, Johnny, I hope it doesn't, just for your sake, because I love the entertainment value that comes from it. It's a very therapeutic and great way to connect with other people. So I do understand its value. And I'm definitely trying to read Gwen's comment right here.
So Gwen is saying there is definitely more of a stigma toward certain items. Wine mom is okay somehow, but if wine mom drinks a ton and gets a DUI, then that's a problem.
Yeah, so, and wine mom could be the same mom that's in Mad. You know what I'm saying? So I could be. I'm not going to like badmouth Mothers Against Drunk Driving or anything like that, but they could easily be the type of mom who would have a wine mom T-shirt on, because it's a double-edged sword. It just doesn't make any valuable sense to say I deserve my glass of wine, but anyone else who has to, because that's what makes them feel normal, is bad mouth.
Right, it does. Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know about what's right and what's wrong. I just know that I'm a lot happier today, and it doesn't bother me as much. I don't get like completely bent out of shape because people are going to do what people can do, but I know that it's like the Serenity Prayer. It's beyond my control.
Absolutely.
So Johnny says here, says chasing stigmas like chasing smoke. Perceptions is everything when trying to change thoughts and minds. The stigma of substance use disorder is the core value of thousands of Americans. How do we change the perception of substance use disorder?
I think stuff like this. I think like we have done times where we had participant check-ins where you saw someone on their first week, their second week, their third week, and their fourth week. So then you could see someone practically coming straight out of active addiction, the closest that you could have to active addiction probably on this podcast. And then, 4 weeks later, and then, John will host one who's at like 38 years. So I think not only putting the people in the public eye who are models of recovery with 30 some odd years, but seeing a wide swath of diverse people, regardless of age, race, creed, color, identity, whatever you want to call it, and saying we're good people. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You know, just like the NA meetings say, and the AA meetings say, the newcomer is the most important person. You know what I mean? So to show progression from, we'll say, week 1 into week 2 and then 3 and then 4, you know, we'll take me as an example. Wasn't very happy week 1. You know what I mean? Week 2 was a little better. Week 3 is even better. You know, I'm much happier right now than I have been in a long time for the most part. And maybe just some check-ins on, like you said, on some of the participants who have, you know, not just 1 month clean, 3 months clean, you know, but throughout maybe a year or something, you know, just like you said, to show, you know, we do recover. And that is that. And that we are good people.
I think one of the harder things, because we've talked about reclassification and felonization of the fact that I have a substance use disorder. I now, you know, not me personally, but I have a felony on my record. So now I can't hold down as stable of a job, or am now pigeonholed in one way. The same actually goes for voting too. So felons can't vote, correct? I'm under the impression that felons, at least in Virginia, cannot vote. So I think if you have a felony for substance use charges, then you should still be able to vote. And that is one easy way that you could change the stigma, is making sure that people are put in office who agree that recovery is important and those who use drugs aren't all bad people.
Well, in Maine, I can vote as a felon.
You can?
Yeah, I can. And I think there are like 3 other states here in America that you can. But yeah, that's absolutely important, man, because this is an epidemic, dude. It's more like an apocalypse, man. You know what I mean? Like, there are people dying out here, dude, and it's almost like, I can't say politicians don't care. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Who knows? But it's important for us with substance use disorder to be able to get out there and pitch our vote too, man. Why should my vote not count? Why should I not be able to vote because what I have this disease, dude? That's like, that's crazy, man. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, if you have some felonies on your record that are due to substance use disorder, then absolutely you should still be able to cast your vote. Because again, your voice matters. You know what I mean? Just because we were in active addiction doesn't mean that we don't matter. That's crazy.
I think that's a really good point.
So I looked it up here. So unrestricted, you know, that can vote from prison, you know, is
as an absentee ballot
is Maine and Vermont.
Yeah, see,
That's it, Maine and Vermont.
Vermont. I thought Michigan might have been one too.
Yeah, and then there's 18 states that you can actually vote. 18 states and DC, you can vote after you've done your prison time. So New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, DC, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, North Dakota, Montana, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and Oregon. So, and then
generally a progressive list.
Right. And then restored after prison and parole is California and Massachusetts. And then may lose permanently is Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Iowa, Wyoming, and Arizona. And
I think after a certain amount of time in Virginia, you can get it expunged and then get your voting rights back.
Right. So.
Yeah, and it's just like everything, it's a case-by-case basis. Why? I don't know. I don't want to get into a states' rights versus federal rights conversation, but I think that something like that should just be a very blanketed statement. I don't get why, especially in federal elections, this state can have its felons vote. This can't. This state, this can't. Like, it just seems like it's a total washboard, a hodgepodge of who can vote and who can't. Right. And in a very important election year and election season, it doesn't make much sense to me why it's got to be a states' rights thing. I don't know. What do you think about legalizing all drugs?
I don't think it's a very good idea, man.
I don't
You know
think
what
so
I mean?
either.
Yeah,
Dude.
that's a terrible
I
idea.
was like, where the hell did that question come from? That's like out of left field, man. It's like,
I don't know. I'm just thinking in left field right
Well,
now,
and then,
because I know some
yeah,
people
no,
have
that's
considered it and tried it, like full legalization.
well, the thing is with the, like with the decriminalization, I think that, for the felony stuff, we're talking about user amounts. We're not talking about like well, you just went there with that, but I mean, we're not
That's what I'm talking
We're not
about.
talking about the decriminalization
I'm
across
saying
the
let's
board.
take this decriminalization and just go full force on it.
But I think with the Portugal model, the Portugal flip, which is probably where that was headed, that I think Portugal did the decriminalization of all user amounts.
Mhm.
So they still have crime, and I'm no expert on that by any means, but I'm just saying, like, I think that's where that was going. So,
Tommy, how did the COVID pandemic affect your recovery? Would you have come into recovery if it weren't for it? Did it affect it at all?
I mean, I'm sure it had a little bit to do with just kind of sitting around being bored a lot.
Okay.
But I mean, at the end of the day, when I came home from prison, I guess I had some reservations regardless, but COVID definitely helped those reservations get pushed along quicker. That's for sure. Complacency, sitting around doing nothing, being stressed out about not being able to go to work, constantly being trapped in the house and stuff like that, man. It all kind of gets to you, I guess.
Mhm.
And yeah, it definitely helped push things along.
Did it feed into any anxiety of coming in too at the same time?
A little bit, yeah, because again, I don't know any of you guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Who knows? I've barely even traveled out of the state of Maine. So
Mhm.
I'm like, on my way down here, I was actually thinking about the COVID thing and about like,
What if it's more intense down there?
yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not really all that bad up in Maine. You know what I mean? Like
Really?
down here, yeah, no, down here, you got to wear this thing everywhere you go.
yeah, I think Maine only has
It's
like
not
15
really-
cases. It's not a lot.
It's not
like
really, I can go into Walmart in
Yeah.
Maine and not wear my mask.
yeah.
I can't even go into the corner store here without a mask
Yeah.
on. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm just throwing a number out there, but it's very low. It's
Yeah.
like it's in the low. It's astronomically low. It's crazy how low.
Especially in central, like most of the cases reported were down in like Cumberland County, which is like Portland area.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like the bigger city in Maine. Where I'm from, Waterville, there might have been like 1 or 2 cases in the Kennebec County area. It wasn't that.
And that shows you were
You know.
serious about your recovery. You were like, all right, I'm gonna get out of this comfort zone and
Yeah.
go get uncomfortable, maybe deal with this pandemic on a more intense level so I could get clean.
I had to do something, man. That's for sure. Not only for the simple fact that I was going back to prison if I didn't get clean, you know what I mean? But like I had to do something for myself. I had to do something for my family, And that's like when I just did my time, I just did 18 months. And the whole time I had this great plan about when I was gonna come home, what I was gonna do, and they say all the time that if you're not working on yourself while you're in there, you're going to lose because your addiction is in the parking lot doing push-ups and jumping jacks waiting for you, man. You know what I mean? So if you're not privy to the recovery game while you're in there, you're going to lose that battle every time. And I always was like, no, dude, that ain't going to be me, dude. I'm just sitting there counting days. When do I get to go home? And yeah, sure enough, I was home like 30 days maybe before I started using again. It was that fast. And I just wasn't willing to go back.
30
to prison.
days is more than I expected.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you're saying it's doing those push-ups and those jumping jacks. I mean, that like, I'm not saying it's great. I'm glad you're here, but 30 days just off sheer willpower, white knuckling it, that shows you what you can actually do with that sort of willingness and a program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the game plan look like in the next, like, what do you see in the next like 3 months?
In the next 3 months.
What's your game plan?
All right. So as you know, I've already got a pretty good network of support and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So again, I have to deal with some consequences when I get home.
Okay.
And so when I come home, I also have another family member who was in active addiction for a long time who really, really wanted me to do something like this. She's been clean for 4 years now, I think.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna stick right in her right pocket. That's for sure. Because, you know, they say it all the time, stick close to the old timers. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna stick close to her while I'm up there. I want to come back down here though, eventually. You know, like there is not really a sense of recovery community in Maine, I guess, and especially nothing like here, man. Like I've never seen anything like this here. You know, like it amazes me. It really does. So like I enjoy being around those like-minded people, you know, people who are willing to help themselves, to help others, to stay clean, man. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. Because the next time you go out there and use, man, you might die, you know, and that does scare me. You know, I'm not trying to pick up. I'm not trying to die, dude. My mother died when she was 37 years old from a drug overdose. You know what I mean? So I'm just not trying to be dead at the age of 30.
No.
You know, I've got kids to raise.
No need to be a statistic, man.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to be another number.
Yeah. And, you know, Gwen has a good point in the challenging is going from surviving to thriving. And
absolutely
not just continuously waking up, going to work, doing the same thing over and over again, but consistently moving forward in our recovery. And, you know, I really hope you come back. I'd love to see you again. I mean, you're obviously going to still be around, but I know I was actually just thinking about this yesterday, is that when I came in, I was like, all these people are squares. They take recovery so seriously. All they do, like my idea of people in recovery was like, all they do and think about is recovery. And that sounds so boring.
That's
and
what
these
you gotta
people
do.
are nerds. And then I started to actually like start to put forth a major effort into it and found all these cool people who do cool stuff. They just don't use also at the same time and practice program, like go to meetings and do stuff like this. And it's like, wow, there are actual like cool people out here too. It's not just like straight edge. I don't use like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, sticking around those people are important. You know, getting a sponsor, talking to your sponsor. I actually have a really good friend who I'm gonna have sponsor me, and he's gonna help me work the steps. So I'm actually really excited about that. Dude, I really am. I'm excited about that. He doesn't know it yet, but
Oh, you haven't even asked him yet?
No, we talked about it. We talked about it a little bit.
So Tracy actually had a pretty extensive comment here, but it's practice. Living with Mission has turned me into a functional person. It's full-time job, work. Release the trauma, act on mental health, stay away from relationships at least for a year. It's been my
good
downfall.
Advice.
And I have, relapse, learn to tell on yourself, struggle. You know, she still struggles with his effects. You know, honesty will, if you're not honest, you'll stay sick and it'll affect your recovery. Trust and believe, and you will use
if you can't be honest.
Right.
Rigorous honesty. I'm a
Right,
big advocate of that as well. That's good stuff, Tracy. Thank you for commenting. That's awesome. And I've seen Tracy since the first day that I got here, and everyone deals with their own struggles, but Tracy's absolutely crushing it now. She's wonderful and is giving very sound advice right there. So I guess before we wrap up, what's going on? What are you grateful for, Todd?
Well, I'm grateful for the back and forth with that topic.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that brought that little thing just coming and going last night. You know, it started the conversation, and I'm grateful for the little things now that, like, you know, in life that, like, that's a great example. Like Kelly and I, you know, we have pretty good communication now. You know, so to have a conversation like that now, you know, I'm grateful that she was like, well, what do you think of that? You know, like, you know,
but you can actually have those conversations
like
openly and honestly.
10 years ago, I'd have been like, heck yeah, sign me up. I'll be breaking even, you know. So, so it won't cost us any money for me to drink, you know. But, like, you know, but I'm grateful for the conversations we can have now, because if it wouldn't be for the trust that we have now, yeah, I'm just grateful for that. Sounds like the building's burning down now.
Not yet.
So,
Yeah, not yet.
No, but Tommy lit this place up.
So.
Tommy, what are you grateful for today, man?
I'm grateful for today, for starters. You know, I'm definitely grateful for another chance at sobriety in life. You know, I talk to my daughter on a daily basis, and man, am I more than grateful for her. You know, she is just something different. I'm grateful for all the people that have stuck in my corner through 10 years of active addiction, man. You know, multiple prison sentences with people that just never gave up on me, I guess you would say. I'm grateful for that. You know, it just shows me that people really do care. And I'm grateful for McShin. I really am. Like I said, I hated it when I got here at first, but you know, I sit back, I work the program, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and every day gets better, every single day. And I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm extremely grateful for you guys, your staff, who just make the day that much better, man, for real. You guys are awesome. And I'm grateful that I had the chance to come down here. I really am.
That's great, buddy. I'm glad you're here. I'm very grateful that you're here, man. And Todd, I'm grateful for you too, buddy. I'm grateful to have this sort of platform and opportunity. I'm grateful for a network of people who love and support me. A wide group of people who keep me in check. You know, money in my pocket, food in my belly, a bed to sleep in.
Nothing to complain about.
Like, life is so good right now. If I sat here and said everything that I was grateful for, I just wouldn't have enough time. So I'm just grateful in general, man. I love you guys. This has been a blast.
Yeah,
Tommy,
it's
really
been
appreciate
awesome.
having you on,
Yeah,
man.
for sure, man. That was awesome.
Todd, you rule, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, get in the herd. Out.
One thing we do here, we always educate our participants. I want you to leave here after your 30, 60, 90 days, or however long you stay and leave. I want you to be educated about the disease of addiction, about substance use disorders, what you need to do to personally recover. But I want you to know why we don't have the support we should have. I want you to know where all the funding goes, what the thinking is of our culture, why we're the way we are. And just for the record, everybody put it right hand up. I hereby deputize each and every one of you as an ambassador to be a face and voice of recovery from here on out. You've just been deputized. You just became ambassadors of a recovery movement, an authentic recovery movement. What authentic means is about people in recovery themselves. This is our call to action.